So, today I'm at Stone Brewing and with me is Greg. Hi Greg.
Hello.
Thank you so much for taking your time.
Of course, pleasure. Nice to see you here.
Very sunny weather today and not so sunny, it's over in Germany. We just had snow for the couple last days and you're building a brewery right in Berlin. So maybe we should just start this interview with a little bit of German, like Guten Tag, wie geht es dir?
Yeah.
You're working on it.
Yes. Yeah. You're putting me on the spot a little bit, but I know very key words in Reinheitsgebot, in German, like Reinheitsgebot,
yeah.
which it's not necessarily a word that I believe in. I mean,
yeah.
I believe it exists,
yeah.
but I don't know if I believe in it. Boy, this conversation's changed. What are you trying to put me on the spot?
499 years, April 23rd. 499 years Reinheitsgebot.
Well, that's by one count, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the experts say that it was actually a culmination of many laws over
yeah.
many years.
Yeah.
So the question I have for you is,
yes.
Will Reinheitsgebot survive 500 years? It's only 500th year.
It's only one more year, so keep going.
That's actually, will it survive on its 500th year? Meaning because of the spotlight that will be on Reinheitsgebot next year, will that law survive in the consciousness?
I think so. It will go for some more years, but the German tried to get it on the UNESCO list. So they wanted to put it there, and the UNESCO said no.
Yeah. It's the same thing I said.
Yeah. So you're building a brewery in Germany, the first US brewery doing that. Why?
Well, we like great beer. We love Europe, love Berlin and Germany. That seems like a great combination to me.
Yeah, I think so. So what can we expect? You already start building it. When will be the first beer coming out of the new brewery in Berlin?
We hope to actually be brewing there later this year.
Okay.
2015. The full production we expect to start in early 2016. And then you can come and visit and enjoy the Stone Brewing World Bistro and Gardens Berlin in spring of 2016, and I hope you visit.
So what kind of beers will you brew there? The same you're doing here, or will it be something different?
We're going there to be Stone.
Okay.
We have an existing style, character, reputation, and we are bringing that over to Germany and to Europe. And so we will be doing that.
So when you made the announcement in Berlin, you had a huge stone and you smashed all those industrial beer.
Right. Do you know from what countries?
No.
Do you know, what would you guess? What country's beer did I smash?
German beers and maybe the Netherlands.
I think there were a lot of international beers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. In fact, there were a lot of international. American, Canadian, Mexican, Asian, South American, throughout Europe. Yeah. Also some from Germany, but only industrial beer.
Okay.
No real actual beer.
Yeah. So it was only beer.
Well, yeah. So sometimes people said, "Well, Greg, you're insulting beer," and I'm like, "I am not insulting beer. Yeah. The insult was already made by the companies that made these beers that were just industrialized versions of beer, not real versions. Not the stuff that we care about."
Yeah, that's true. So with now over 3,000 breweries in the US, the craft beer market growing, I think it's like above 10% market share right now. Is it okay for you, the growth rate you have in the US?
I just heard the new statistic is there is a new brewery opening in the United States every 14 hours.
Oh, okay.
That's crazy. Yeah. Is it okay for me? Well, I love great beer. Yeah. And as you know from visiting here at Stone Brewing World Bistro and Gardens in Escondido, this is our headquarters. We have more guest beers on tap than we have of our own beer. Of course, we love celebrating other great beer. This has always been part of our ethos, part of our philosophy, our ideals, is sharing the great world of amazing beer and helping people understand that it's beyond that kind of thing that you see on the television commercial, right? The stuff that I smashed with the boulder. Yeah. And of course, I didn't smash beer. What I smashed was the idea that industrial beer should be what so many people perceive as beer, where we know that it's not this, it's this.
Yeah, so true. And I just took a look inside, and it's awesome. It's you have a bar, you have a restaurant, you have a shop where you can buy T-shirts and everything. So you'll bring that concept to Germany as well?
Yes, we'll have a place where people can come and visit. We want to show them how we brew our beer. No mystery, very straightforward. Our recipes are actually typically quite simple and direct, but of course we don't pull back.
Yeah.
So we are willing to turn it up loud, and we'll have a very eclectic, large restaurant, a very interesting menu, like we do here, and a place where people can gather with friends and family and enjoy the great experience.
Yeah. So you'll have guest beers as well in Germany?
Oh yes. I expect that we will have one of the best selections of German craft and true artisanal, true authentic historical beers in all of Germany.
Yep. So you have, we already heard what Germany can learn from Stone. So you bring your great beers. Are there some things that maybe Stone can learn from Germany, from the German culture or something like that?
Oh, I'm a student of life, right, of the world. So every place I go, every time I try a new beer, I learn something. So I love that. And of course, there's so much to offer culturally, beer-wise in Germany. But on the other hand, I've gotten to experience quite a bit already.
Okay.
I don't know everything. Heck, I don't know everything about the United States, so I'm still learning. But I know a pretty fair amount, and I've got a pretty good idea of the German beer styles.
Is there one favorite beer style from Germany you have?
Favorite? Boy, that's a very challenging question. I tend to like beers that are really interesting. Like I love a Gose.
Yeah.
And of course, this is a style. How many Germans know what a Gose is?
Like nobody.
And that's the interesting thing.
Yeah.
There are dozens and dozens and dozens of breweries in the United States making a Gose.
Yeah.
This is a traditional, authentic Northern German, European, or German beer style, and yet I think there are two being brewed in Germany. I'm not certain. I could be wrong. It could be three.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very difficult because the craft beer market in Germany just woke up. We are like 20 years behind the US craft beer scene. But I think you coming over to Germany makes it a lot more interesting there. And you just said it's above 3,000 craft beer breweries in the US. What's so special about Stone? What makes Stone different from all the other breweries?
Well, at Stone, when we started now in 1996, we started with the idea that we wanted to make big character aggressive beers of the styles that we liked. Now, these styles of beer were very, very uncommon. In fact, they weren't really being brewed much at all back then. Today, the craft beer market has moved in the direction of the kinds of beers that we love, which is fantastic. IPAs and double IPAs and triple IPAs, hoppy pale ales, black IPAs, the big style barley wines. Our Stone Smoke Porter has been available since our first year. We bring, I think, an unabashed love of big character, where we're not afraid with this idea of somebody else won't like it. We just have to believe that we like it, and then we let you decide for yourself if you like it or not. But I think so many companies say, I like this kind of beer,
Yeah.
but that person, they won't like it. We can't bring a beer like this into the marketplace. They won't understand. It's too bitter, it's too strong, I think that's ridiculous. I think it's our job to decide what to do. It's your job to decide if you like it or not. It's presumptuous if I decide for you that you're not ready, that you're not sophisticated enough, that you're not having a good enough palate.
And you put it on the bottle. You just, I had one beer and it said like, you probably won't like it, you definitely won't understand it, but it's, you still put it in there.
Yeah, that's the opposite, of course, what I was just talking about. And that is the attitude of one beer that we have, which is called Arrogant Bastard Ale. But that's not the attitude of our company or me, and it never has been.
No.
But yes, that beer definitely turns it around and probably inspires some people to sort of question their own belief system.
It makes a little bit fun of itself.
Of course.
Yes, of course. So you already talked about industrial beer, and I'm not sure if you did. I watched the Super Bowl. Did you?
No,
There was a very interesting commercial.
I stayed home.
You stayed at home. And a very big industrial brewery in the US, they made a commercial, and this time they had no little puppies on it and no horses and whatever. They decided to make a commercial and poking at the craft breweries, craft beer fans, whatever. You saw the commercial?
Yes, I saw it online later
Yes.
when I learned about this controversy.
Yeah.
Of course, the big company is sending a very clear message. They're saying, we don't understand, we are afraid, and we are going to try to compete by putting somebody else down in what they do. This message was largely lost on people, I think. The responses were not positive. Of course, how could it be?
Yeah.
Our attribute, what the commercial said is our attribute is being simple and brainless. Now, probably simple and brainless people like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know any. Well, it's not like I've never come across one.
That to another level. It's maybe everybody knows the commercial war between Coke and Pepsi.
Sure.
Something like that, maybe starting with the industrial beer brewer and the craft beer brewer, or do you think it was a one time and they got so much bad feedback on it they will stop? Or they're really afraid?
Well, we have to first understand what Coke and Pepsi is. It's one international conglomerate giant with sugary water, food coloring, and additives competing against another international conglomerate giant with sugar water, food coloring, and additives. Neither of which I would ever drink anyway.
Okay.
So that's moot. But I know where you're going.
Yes.
They're trying to win this war by now buying small breweries, and that's how the war was won in Europe, and that's how Europe ended up going many decades long decline in the number of small breweries, Privatbrauerei, and it's because they allowed themselves to be bought, and the consumers, it's always the consumer's fault. You have nobody to blame for yourself. What the choices are can only be blamed on the consumer, because if a small local brewery gets bought out and then moved the production somewhere else, and people still continue to buy it because they're like, nah, it's cheaper.
Okay.
Then we only create the world that we are accepting.
Yeah.
So at Stone, we've always said, we don't accept that version of the world. We don't accept this idea where we get sold out and we still say, no problem, I'm okay with it as long as it's cheap. When you get cheap, you get cheap. And of course, Germany is known as being the cheapest beer market in Western Europe.
Yeah. We have beer cheaper than water.
Is this something, and some consumers would say this is a great thing. And of course, it's a horrible thing.
Yeah.
It's a horrible thing, because what do you get when you get cheap beer? You get cheap beer. And cheap beer is not something to be inspired at, for. It gets you cheap beer. I want great beer.
That's what you're doing.
We try our best.
So, what will be craft beer within the next 5 years? Where is it going? Already going, and it's nothing compared to Germany. If I go to a supermarket in Germany, there's no craft beer. There's almost no chance to get. If I go to a supermarket here, it's like 50% industrial, 50% already craft beer. So with only 10% market share. So where will it go within the next 5 years?
Well, I think we can expect that great quality beer, great quality craft beer will start to show up in German supermarkets over time. But mostly the places like supermarkets listen to the consumers. So specialty shops, they lead the consumer. Supermarkets follow the consumer. And so the more the consumers are expressing their vote, the more that the shops will follow. Now, for a company like ours, the way that the beer market in Germany works is that the big brands, they buy the space on the shelf, they give incentives to the retailer, there's always some sort of behind-the-scenes backroom deal, to get the beer on the shelf. We don't do any of that.
Okay.
We will give no incentives to the retailer. We will give no shelf fees. We won't do advertising. What we're going to do is make great beer. And so people that decide if they want to buy great beer, they get to make that choice. I hope that we'll get to make that choice. Because if we're shut out from the market, then you don't get the choice.
Yeah. So, talking about Stone, you have so many great beers. What is your favorite beer at the moment? But not at the moment. You already told me you taking a 2-week vacation. But what will, let me ask this way: what will be the first Stone beer you will have after your 2 weeks are off?
Okay. Yeah. So a little background on that. Yeah. So normally in my beer drinking adult life, I'd like to try and take 1 week a year with no drinking, just to make sure, to hit the reset button, and that first beer afterwards. Oh, it's so good. But I haven't done that for now many years. I don't think I've missed one day in a long, long time. So now it's 2 weeks.
Okay.
And I'm halfway through right now. And I'm doing okay.
Yeah. It's a little, so is there a beer you're looking forward and you say, oh wow,
right now all of them sound good.
So in German there's a word for it, we call it Kastenbier. That's the beer you can have every day. You bought it in like this big boxes, like 20 bottles of it. Do you have a Kastenbier, a everyday beer you like?
No, I don't want one. See, I've worked so hard to help create a world where the idea of a custom beer doesn't make sense.
Okay.
It's like having the same meal every day.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want the same meal. When you have great quality choices, then you want to experience a wide variety of things. Now, I have favorites that I go back to often, but the idea of drinking the same beer, no.
Just one beer. You're going back if you're coming home to just have one beer available all the time. I mean, you have probably all beer available all the time.
If you saw my refrigerator, I always stand in front
That's where we go next.
Well, I've got a big one right here next to us.
Oh, yeah.
I always stand in front of the refrigerator thinking about what do I want? And the refrigerator door starts beeping at me.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've kept it open too long. So it's always a difficult decision, but I certainly always have Stone IPA in my refrigerator. It's that point where when you can't decide, then you go for that one.
Okay.
But, and it's always a wide range. I don't have one. I've been asked this question for 20 years, and I've never been able to come up with a different answer than the one I'm giving you now. I don't have one.
Okay. So what's next for Stone? What are possible new beer styles coming up? Tell us something about that, please.
Well, we're actually doing a reboot of two of our very long-standing beers, Stone Pale Ale, which was the first beer we ever produced.
Okay.
We are coming out with Stone Pale Ale 2.0 in just another few weeks, later in April here. And Stone Ruination IPA, which was the first full-time brewed and bottled West Coast style double IPA on the planet when we released it in June of 2002. That is also getting a reboot as Stone Ruination Double IPA 2.0, and we're really, really excited about it. So those two are coming out, and also Bourbon Barrel Aged Arrogant Bastard Ale is coming out in a 6-pack soon. And, so good.
It's already in the refrigerator?
No, it's about to be though. Oh. If there's some ready, that may be my first beer coming out.
That sounds great. So what changed from the original version to 2.0?
We just wanted to sort of bring up our last 13 years of brewing development and education curve. We wanted to take all of that education curve as we learned it with hops and bring that to an updated version of Stone Ruination IPA. And the result is, I'm ecstatic about the result.
Okay. I'm looking forward to that. Thank you very much, Greg, for taking your time. You'll be in Germany 2 times within the next week, so maybe...
I'll be there May, June, July, August, September, at least. So I know I'll be there a lot. and I'm looking forward to it. I look forward to having you and all of your viewers, readers, to come by and visit our place. We're going to have some open houses. We're participating in Berlin Beer Week in June.
Okay.
And the closing event for Berlin Beer Week will be at our new place before it's open.
Wow.
So people will get a chance to see the preview during construction, to see what it looks like the before, and then come back and see the after, I hope.
So that's pretty cool. Thank you so much, and we're looking forward Stone coming to Germany, and I'm so happy. Thank you very much.
Yeah, tschüss.
Cheers. A little bit German at the end. Great.
Yeah.